Okay, welcome back. Well, this is the second Humber armored car. And I think we got everything done on it, except for some additional drippings. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's get our three culprits here. Yeah, we actually did use some of the mid brown, a little bit. The most gelatinous one of the three. Soft tone for whatever reason. I'm sorry, not soft tone. Light tone. Light tone is the most gelatinous of them. Actually, when I got this one, it was very, very difficult to get it to come out properly. Let's get this over here, and this doesn't need to go back in there. And it's very, very weird how it's been misbehaving. I should say behaving. Would say behaving, but it's really been misbehaving. Let's see, I can't see very far. Put the glasses on. Where is this? Will work just fine. Let's go ahead and unclog this. I don't know what's. I see what was going to happen there. It's almost like earwax or something. This one was always like that. Might have a lot of the carrier in it. But it's actually a really good color. Really useful color. The light tone. It looks the same, but it's definitely more gelatinous. Now, since we have that there, let's go ahead and grab a little bit of water we can use to manipulate. And we're gonna do little tools, which there's not a lot of them on there, and we'll do the drippings. And then we'll go work on the horch. The horch on the porch. The horch and buggy. All right, so I like the. I'm not going to waste that paintbrush. We'll use one that we don't have so many uses for. It's this random round. A 10-0 round. A lot of people are so focused on the size of the brush. What size brush do you use for this? What size brush do you use for that? It doesn't matter the size of the brush, it's the size of the tip. And in my experience has been, I get a lot better results with liners than I do with rounds. A lot better results. And I didn't find out about liners for a long time because if you look at brush sets, don't usually come with them, or they didn't used to. I get a lot better line control with liners. The only reason I'm using a round right now is, man, if I don't use them for something, I'm not going to find a use for them at all. I think they can handle this okay. I could be wrong. I may switch out of it in a second. Just wanted to get a couple of those little areas there. Anyways, happy Sunday, folks. Unless you have to go to work today. Yeah, I don't see any purpose in me using enamels. I know that lots of people like them. I just this is such a pleasant experience working with this. It's the same thing. This is one of these situations where water would accumulate here. Is I think the way it works, some of these places that are really, really arid, you're like, it never rains there. You're right most of the time, but when it rains, it's out of control. It's like you don't get any rain for. I mean, every place is different, but there's some of these places that are arid as hell. But when it rains, you get like 20 inches. Like you don't know what to do. It's oh, you know what? I may have pulled out the wrong. What's going on here? I don't want strong tone. Soft should be the darkest one. Let's make sure that this is the one in the middle. I mean, there's no reason to use. No, I did it right. I did it right. Okay. It just looked a little different than what I'm used to it looking like. Yeah, this is the right one. Yeah, because the strong tone, I mean, it already has strong tone on it. We put that one in first. And these models are so robust. It's amazing how weak other models are. And when I put these things together, there's several issues I ran into that I was not expecting. However, with that said, they don't make me put any of the suspension parts on the bottom, which I think is really annoying. Is you're not going to see it. I don't mind building stuff, but to spend an inordinate amount of time on something that no one is going to see is just a waste of. You're wasting my time. My time's being wasted when you're doing stuff like that. I could be doing something more, something you can see. So I'm not a fan of that. And those other model kits that make you do the suspension they make you do is really, really, really weak. So like that Airfix Morris truck with a 40 millimeter Bofors. The suspension and stuff is probably really accurate on the bottom of it. But man, I'm almost having to grab it with forceps, tweezers. It's stressful to pick it up. And like I said, there's no 8-year-old building that thing. It builds up into a fine kit, but that's not an 8-year-old kit. This is for 8-year-old. No, it's not. Well, the 8-year-old's not going to build it right. I can tell you that right now. His dad's going to do all the work. Which is fine. I remember when I was a kid, I'd buy a model kit. It only happened like 3 times, maybe only twice. I said, Dad, can you build this for me? I want to play with this, right? I get it as a toy. I remember I wanted a U-boat, because I guess at that point I was already reading about German submarines and stuff like that. I wanted a U-boat to play with. And the only thing they had at the time, or only thing they had in the store, was a Japanese submarine, a I-400 series Japanese submarine. I don't know what scale it was. It must have been about this long. So I could probably do the math with a calculator what it is, but I believe it came in a tester's box. Those old tester's model kits that would have a. I actually like this packaging. There'd be a picture of the finished model on the front. And on the top, it's usually, I think, across the top was this yellow banner. And it would say testers, and it would say like the name of the kit or whatever, what scale it was in. But it had a picture of the finished model. And I don't know if, now that I think about it, I don't know if testers ever made any of their own models. Or they just repackaged other people's stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just, like MPC that we had when we were kids. MPC never made shit. Okay, it was MPC packaging, and it was Airfix stuff. I had an MPC Ark Royal and a Repulse and a Bismarck and a Prinz Eugen and a Suffolk heavy cruiser and what else did I have? I'm probably missing. Did I say Repulse? I don't think I had the Ajax. It was because they didn't have it in the store. But anyway, so those were all Airfix kits. Not MPC. Same thing with the testers. I don't think there was testers stuff. I think some of their stuff was repackaged Italeri things. Italieri, as we used to call them. Hey, they've got the Italian flag colors on it. Makes sense to call them Italieri. Sounds like an airline that goes to Rome, where its hub is in Rome. Italieri Airlines. Well, I don't know if Testors made their own things. I have a feeling they didn't. But anyways, I like the picture of the finished model. The trick is make yours look like that. Like if you like it. So even though this vehicle's in one color, I think there's lots of little things you can do to make it look interesting. Because yeah, you could see a picture of real life vehicles. Like you go, they have a set of a set of vehicles that are out in this Army Reserve base, kind of close to me, in Camp Landing. They have a bunch of World War II era vehicles, and they've got post World War II era vehicles there as well. But the World War II vehicles are this really odd shade of green. Really, really odd shade of green. And their uniform, which is even more weird. But they were painted. They were painted some green color, and it's faded over time because they're in the sun all of the time, and they're almost like a avocado color. And you know damn well they never were painted that color. They never wore that color. They never were painted that color. You know. But you know, if you paint a vehicle from, assuming they were painted in the correct color, if you painted a vehicle in the World War II livery, and left it out in the sun for 30 or 40 years or longer, I don't think they were painted that long ago, but say even 20 years, painted 20 years ago or even 15, leave it out in the sun, don't move it, it's going to be a totally different color. See if I can find a picture of it. I did a walkthrough video on that place. Playlists, let's see. this is in the. I have a Thursday night paint session. I got thrown into this historical walkthrough area. Some some kind of fat fingered thing. Let's see. Let's listen. Let's watch this advertising that I didn't pick. I don't get to pick the advertising on there. Yeah, that's avocado. It's chalky. So I was actually surprised how much of the finish of the tank looked really sorry. This is a this is an M4. This is an M4A1 Sherman with a 76 millimeter. They got the big casting numbers on the on the side of the turret that are really pronounced. That's one of those things that if you get a model kit in 135th scale, if you don't know any better, you'd probably sand them off. Like, what are these markers on the side of this tank? I need to correct that. I need to playlists. I try to fix things when I see an error. This Thursday night backdrop somehow got put in that. Oh, it is on live stream. It just doesn't need to be a historical memorial walkthroughs. Yeah, I fat fingered it. Okay. Back to 1941. I don't like this everywhere, but I do like it enough to where it just makes the appearance of the vehicle look interesting. Oh, we got to put a number on this one, and this is going to be a bitch where it is because of the bloody tire. I may have to paint the numbers upside down. Well, that's a physical challenge right there. A light avocado. Which one's this one? Okay, this is the more. This is the orangish, the orangest one. Well, we got all day today, and all day tomorrow, and then on Tuesday morning we're supposed to Leave for a long time. $17 I think is what it is. So there won't be any painting videos that time, that's for sure. And when I get back, I'm definitely going to need some painting videos for therapy. Not from the trip, but from what's going to be waiting for me at work. What they'll have ruined at work. The ruination. Damnation and ruination. I don't know how many. When was the last time I painted this many days in a row? That it's been this cold. Yeah, it's not a complaint. It's just an observation. I wish it was this temperature year round. I wish it was this temperature year round. I still haven't woken up. I've only had 3 fingers of coffee. Turn your rear around. Then you take your temperature. This stuff's going to stay a little glossy when it isn't. Now, there's bound to be some rusty drippings off of that. The Wolfman. It's important to make sure you get enough fingers in every morning. That's right. That way you'll be any extra fingers you need to have will be easier to insert them. I know several people who I would say have a fairly stressful job, and they don't drink coffee. They don't drink caffeine. I'm like, how do you do it? Well, I'm not going to ever find out. I'm not ever going to find out. Well, I'm glad you piped in here because for a second there, it looks like it was a collection of deaf mutes. Like, man, I see a lot of people on here, but even the undead make sounds. All right, let's not waste this on this one. Let's get one that's small, but not so small. This one maybe. Well, we did all the packing last night, or at least all the clothes part. Now today we just got to put the electronics, camera stuff. By camera, I mean phone. That's one thing I don't miss. I don't miss like cameras. Like, just be done with that. The phone's a lot handier. Although I suspect there's probably still people out there that do slides and things like that, but I bet that's all mail order, and there's very few people that do that kind of. The main thing is have a screen. Have a screen on your camera that when you take the photo, it shows you on the screen what you've captured. That's the important thing. So that if you go somewhere like, Paris or somewhere you may not go ever again. You don't have like the Eiffel Tower, like, not in register. Good morning, Marcus. Tony in chat. Oh, it's just Wolf and me. Ulf. You should put the two little umlauts over your U. That way you can be like trendy. It could be crouch chic. Like, who is it that puts umlauts just to be trendy? Motley Crue used to do it. Queensryche used to put umlaut over like a Y or something like that. Like, what kind of... Just invent your own freaking language at that point. I believe that's what it was. It was over the Y. Ah, yes, well, my stomach has something to say also. But it's not like black coffee in the morning. Oh well. I guess it'll just be chiming in from time to time. Okay, that's black. And then what's over here? We got the shovel handle. The shovel itself and the shovel handles Le Brown. And I got to figure out what I'm going to download on my phone to watch in flight. Not necessarily for me, but if the daughter wants to watch something, it's an opportunity to watch some history programming. There's lots of lurkers too. Yeah, I don't know. That's fine, but maybe they're waiting for Mitch's feet to make an appearance. I don't know. It's not that kind of channel, folks. And I hope they're real people. I mean, I hope it's not like bots or something. I don't really know how the bots work. Whether when they're like spotting stuff, if they really show up as I don't know how that works. I don't know how I don't know how that AI stuff works. But I'm ready to fight it. I'm ready to take up arms against the machines. I'd rather have lurkers than a bunch of people that come on here causing trouble or wanting to argue. That's done with this. I'm not an argue. I'm fine with people having a different opinion than me. Different things. I mean, there's probably people that like to use Pactra paints. Good for them. I probably, if I still had Pactra paints, if we could go back in time, pull Pactra paints and bring them back here, I could probably do some okay stuff with them because we have, as long as I can use brushes that are available now, but the brushes we had when we were kids, you know, um, oh, I didn't realize I was you, Jeffrey. You and Marcus are like the same face flavor, at least for me. It's like I see one and I think, and you guys are both the same. I have a feeling your accents are different though. Good morning, Mr. Jeffrey. Once I get past 6 or 8 inches, I can't see worth a damn without my contacts in. But then I put my contacts in and I can't see this. My wife is new to this glasses thing. She has a fine vision. She just has the one that she can't see up close, and she wanted to get contacts for it. And one of the optometrists was like, or optician, whatever it is, one of the two, was telling her that, well, they give her these bifocal ones, and there's like a line. You have to line that up on the bottom. Like, I don't know what the hell the bifocal I've used contacts for, I don't know, 40, 50, 30 years, more than 30 years. But they've just been, standard ones. And I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. So bifocal contacts, but I just don't like wearing glasses to have to see something at a distance. That's what you're using all the time. If you have readers, it's not a big deal because you're like focused here. But just to drive and stuff like that, no, no thanks. That's really a pain. Actually, it wasn't until I needed to use readers that I started taking my contacts out to paint. I just paint in 2020. It corrected 2020. And I'm like, oh, shit, I got a superpower I didn't even know I had. I got a built in loop. All right. Let's paint the wood on. We got this Horch car that was gray. We threw some of the whatever it's called, green ochre. The green no tiene nada. It's like, I don't see any green in there at all. But, whatever. And then we did the wash on it. And then we're going to come back and... I'm trying to remember what the method is. I don't think it gets green ochre again. I think it's just sand. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like this. All right, where is... I know I put it away. It's probably in this central zone somewhere. Nope. Yeah, so the lurkers, I like to think it's people that lurk frequently and they know kind of what the unwritten rules here. We don't need any rules. People know how to behave. You know, you guys can all hold a job, so you know how to behave. You know? Flat Earth. Beige brown. There we go. I mean, a lot of these ones would probably work the same. Let's try to kind of keep it consistent. All right, let's get a little dab of that. A little dab of that and a dash of this. The folk art titanium white. Smells pleasant. That's another thing that didn't happen when I was a kid. Kids didn't huff paint and stuff like that. Now, anywhere I go now, I have to have paint signed off. What was it that I got recently? I got something recently. Oh, Rust-Oleum. I bought some Rust-Oleum spray paint to spray paint my horn. The horn on my car that I installed is visible through the grill by design. But they used to come in different colors. And now they just make them in, that particular model only comes in red. And there isn't a spot of red on my car. So we're not going to do it in red. So I drive a silver vehicle. So I was going to spray paint it in silver. But I needed to take the horn apart and spray paint it. And by taking the horn apart I just mean the outside of the horn. And it's held together by at least 8, maybe 10 or 12 little nuts all around the outside that basically keeps you got the horn inside and you got this frame that almost looks like a skeleton. It looks like a speaker, right? Like a speaker on a stereo. And but the aluminum colored the aluminum material type frame goes around it is all held in place, and all of that is red. I could have just spray painted the whole damn thing, but that was going to look shoddy, and maybe spray paint's pretty darn thick. So anyhow, I needed to take that thing apart to spray it and sand it down a little bit so it gets some grippage, and then Rust-Oleum silver. And I was at Lowe's buying Rust-Oleum silver, and they're like, well, we got to call a manager. Why? Well, because you've got paint here. And I'm like, oh yeah, not because I have the entire house full of liquor that I don't drink. But I'm going to huff paint. Okay, got it. It's full of liquor. I really don't drink. So. That wasn't a thing when I was a kid. Bad parenting. Or no parenting. The more warning labels you put on things, the more warning labels you have to put on. Let's not forget the shovel. Ah, damn, I freaking screwed up. I didn't put the metal part of the shovel that goes up the shaft a little bit. I forgot to go up the shaft. There we go. All right, now let's bring this up a little bit. I really don't like thinning down paints on the airbrush. I think it's because it's hard to do and it's tedious. Not that I'm not used to I thin stuff all the time. Like I want to change the flow of it. But I guess I do it without even thinking about it. And where's that spot of white that it probably already dried out now? Yeah. I'm not buying it. They can't make cheap stuff in the United States. The cheapest paint I have is all made in the U.S., or at least that's what it says. It's made in Georgia. All right. A couple more things, and I'm gonna let them dry, and we'll go to the horch. Um, that's gonna get the metal treatment. Okay. Gonna have some metal treatment there. Let's go ahead and paint the headlamp. Jeffrey, what's the part of the modeling process you dislike the most? Because everybody has something that they really dislike. I hate cleaning flash. I feel like I'm doing the manufacturer's job when I'm cleaning flash. And the second thing I dislike is priming, because I feel like everybody can do it. I don't like to do things that like anybody can do that. Like send me into paint numbers and stuff on things. And a lot of people could do that, but a lot of people are scared of it. I like doing things that I'm good at and other people aren't. And there's some things. The other thing I don't like to do is when it's things I really enjoy doing and they don't let me. Like for instance, like if I'm buying an Essex Army that's already pre-done, like no, I want to pick who the figures are, man. That's an important part of it for me. It's something that I think I'm pretty good at. I mean, I look at stuff. I'm not just like, these guys look good. I'm like, no, man, that's like, I'm gonna spend hours with these folks, man. I want to pick who's on my team. Adding small parts that are not necessary for models, that are essentially war games models. Also, unnecessarily complicated running gear. Yeah, that's true. Because, that's the great thing about this thing. These are robust as shit. You do this with one of the Airfix kits, you got problems. And, yeah, I don't like building all this stuff. I'd rather paint it than build. I don't want to build all this stuff. I don't care if it's accurate. Well, let me change it. Make sure the muffler is in the right place. I'll worry about that on my own vehicle. I don't like that stuff. I don't have an option of spray priming. So it's actually a stage where I get to examine the details and think about the painting process. All right, let me think about what you just put on here. I don't have the option of spray priming, okay? So it's actually a stage, right, to examine the details and think about the painting process. You brush prime everything, which is fine. I mean, I've brush prime things for years. I thought you had an airbrush. That's okay if you don't. I'm relatively new to it. The only reason I have one is because I don't want to use those nasty freaking spray paint things again. Don't tell me those spray paint things are banned in New York City. Hold on, I'll be up there in a couple days with some freedom. No, I was perfectly happy using friggin' Rust-Oleum, not the Model Master products for years, and then Rust-Oleum went and did a corporate takeover. Another one of those corporate things. Yeah, screwed the rest of us in the process. No airbrush yet. Hopefully, when I move back to Virginia. Well, maybe by that time I'll have figured out how to use one. I went to Hobby Lobby yesterday to get more brushes, and I took a look at what they have, and they added another airbrush there. They had like they added two airbrushes. They have one that comes like, you know, it's waiting for somebody to fall for their marketing. It's like a easy to use airbrush, and it's like $30 or whatever, and it's like handheld, and it's like battery operated or something like this. That's not gonna work. Okay, that's not gonna work. You're pissing away $30. And then they had an Iwata airbrush, which, from my experience with this Iwata airbrush, I really like them. And they're Japanese, so, I like most things Japanese. Most things. What would that be called? An Anglophile is somebody that likes things English. What's a Nepophile? That sounds like, show me on this doll where the Nepophile touched you. I like Japanese things because of their quality control. Like it's like most of the time it's like this honor system of it's dishonorable to make shit. Like I like that. But anyhow, so Iwata has this new airbrush there that was a siphon one. So it's like $20 cheaper than the one I have, but it's a siphon airbrush. I'm like, you don't want a siphon airbrush. That's another planet that needs to be in alignment so that that the airbrush functions properly. And I would not have known that had I previously not had a siphon airbrush and the wars I have fought with it and lost too. The big old Bisa, big Bisa. 15 mil. Okay. I think that's all this thing gets. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. We're gonna go to the horch. Horching we will go. Man, I got to figure it look really good coming out of the horch. The foxy bastard himself. One of the books that I have, one of the reviews, the one on Desert Armor. Either that one, or it's either the one on Desert Armor or the one I haven't gotten, which is the second part of the Desert Armor book. One of the complaints that one of the reviewers had about it was that the author was not a fan of Rommel. Like, I don't think he was that good. I mean, yeah, he was decisive and unconventional and, but, I mean, he wasn't a bad commander, but he took like some mega risks, which, paid off sometimes and sometimes it didn't. A lot of these guys might have been more successful or less successful depending on what their supply situation was. Okay, so we're going to grab dark sand. We're going to need pale sand also, and we're going to need dark sand. Not Iraqi sand. Well, we haven't used that joke in a long time. Our relationship is getting strained with Iraqi sand. What's this one? Dark sand. Here we go. Yeah, he doesn't kiss Rommel's ass. I'm like, so? And this is the color that we dry brushed on here. This is the green ochre, which is not green at all. Let's see if we can. Let's not mix. Let's not mix things. Good morning, Mr. Barnes. Thanks for coming by yesterday. I appreciate it. If you guys don't come by, I quit. And it's not, I mean, I have no problem talking to myself, but it's not very motivating if I know nobody's listening. All right, it's time to paint this Nazi bastard thing. This is not the Wearaboo channel. I like, German stuff's cool looking, but, we're not glorifying those assholes. That might be a little bit too much. On there. And it's kind of weird how this thing breaks apart. I might have to paint some of it and then kind of fake assemble it to make sure I don't miss something. Been around a while, but had to flashlight a few figures. What is that? Flashlight a few figures. Well, I appreciate you guys coming by. I'm glad I haven't run you off yet. Not my intention. You go on, I always found hobbying, interacting with people from other countries to be really civilized all of the time. And then you go to these pages where it's like people are just like, oh my God, why are you attacking each other? These people that are like, movie page, they always show the British like they're the bad guys. What the hell, man? They use people with English accents. I think they use people with English accents as villains because they're well spoken, not because they're from Britain and it's like, oh, it's the whole 1776. Nobody thinks about that shit anymore. Nobody in America's like, oh, I'm glad we're not the damn colonies anymore. Nobody thinks about that. If they do, they certainly don't tell me about it. Nobody around the United States sits around and hates Britain. Oh, this is looking good. This is looking real good. That's the finish we want. The last lighting layer. Okay. I mean, if it wasn't for Britain, we wouldn't have this hobby. I like them apples. I mean, if it wasn't for the British, we'd have to eat beans and toast. So I'm glad you guys are out there eating beans and toast for us. It's greatly appreciated. Rommel was a lucky general. He was. He was aided by the desert because of the interception of Major Bonner-Feller's messages to the U.S., which code the Italians had broken. So, one of the things about Tunisia that I found really interesting that I didn't know is that it's really weird to hear stuff about German planes really making a mess out of the Western Allies stuff after 1940. And it's really weird to hear like these, American tanks were getting attacked by Stukas. And I'm like, what alternate reality is that in, Because all you hear about is once the U.S. is involved in it, and not necessarily because of the United States, but because you got you just got you got more stuff on the ground than there was before. You got help that the Luftwaffe is basically like a sideshow. But apparently in Tunisia that is not the case. So that's kind of interesting. I love reading about things that I don't have a lot of detail about, and it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be like. It's almost kind of like a book of fiction, in that you thought you knew how. You get some fresh information. Like you don't know what's going to happen, kind of thing. I mean. But yeah, one of the things that happened in the desert is just the dust, the dust swirls. Like you couldn't get information. The one thing that really kind of messed up the Germans a lot was getting the whole Enigma thing. But at least it was better than World War One. I mean, World War One was going on for what? Not even a month. And they get their codes. So, every time the Kaiser took a crap, the British Admiralty knew when it was happening. So, I think that's who it was doing. Whoever was doing the codes. All my World War One stuff is ships. So, I look at World War One from a ship viewpoint. Because that's what I war game. If I ever have. Well, let's put this little bastard on here. Let's see what this color match looks like. Oh, that looks pretty darn good. It's going to look really good with the tires on it. You would have been playing rules by Scrooby and Morchauser instead of Featherstone and Grant. Morchauser sounds like a disease. Guy's got Morchauser syndrome. I've never played any Featherstone stuff, but that stuff's way ahead of my time. Way ahead of my time. Like, I'm too young to have ever played an SPI game. SPI was already out of business before I started wargaming, I don't know how I'm going to... I do know how I'm going to do this. Let's get more of this down. And let's go over the windows. What are you doing? Hold on a second. I do my own stunts. Hold on one second. Because I've hand painted some of these little frames and still didn't come out well. All right, now let's get something a little bit more precise with some water. And no, I'm not going to do it in the shape of the little windshield wipers. Anal. I don't have time for that. If I was doing one model, yeah, but yeah, we gotta do more than one model here. If only the captain of the Magdeburg had properly weighed the bag with its codes. If only that war had never been fought. Or if only the Brits had stayed out. Oh! Stupid war. Dumb war. Dumb, dumb war. Dumbest war I can think of. Another war started by short people. Well, that worked, except I wiped some of the stuff off that I painted. Well, I'm not going to worry about it right now. How about that? I'm gonna individually paint this stuff around here, and I had masked it off, and when I airbrushed it, I masked too much of it off. I wasn't doing it with glasses. So now here's a crazy idea. Let's see if this. Well, that's one way to get that ridiculous yellow, greenish type camouflage off. It's like this lime green camouflage. It's the biggest problem that this thing had. This is a pre-painted little model, which I'm glad, because if it had been an ace or something like that, it would have like fallen apart in my hands. I've heard those things are really, really delicate, and we got to do the interior. Let's not forget the interior. No, I still have some of that stuff. Now let's see if I can kind of get a glimpse of what this is going to look like. Okay, it's got a couple pegs for that to go in there. The problem is that this back post, I should have removed this thing. I think it's too thick to cut it. It does have a screw hole in there, so if I do want to screw it back together, I can do that. It needs to sit above that. Well, that wasn't too difficult. Something like that. And obviously it has more More finishing needs to be done to it. Not to mention painting the seats, etc. I'd rather have the vehicle empty of figures than have a figure stuck in there that you have to pretend he's not there. That's why I don't want any of my tank commanders glued in. Because I'm okay with a tank being buttoned up, but I don't want to see the commander in it. Okay, let's take this off. Is this got enough of a grippage there? I'm not so sure. Let's get the black back out here. Manufactured date, interesting. The 25th of June, 2024. Do all of them have this? Not this one. Well, why is this one? Oh, we didn't use this one. We used this one. Yep. Now we need to use a bigger brush. We'll be here all week. And we got places to go this week. Let's just pull this out. That'll do. That should be plenty. Black aplenty. Whoa. I would have thought one of the things I disliked the most would have been cleaning the airbrush, but it's really not that big of a pain. Of course, every time I airbrush now, I feel like it goes easier than the time before. And by the way, oof, the cold weather really wasn't the issue that my airbrush was behaving weird. It was just dirty. So I ended up doing that rinse a couple of weeks ago with the hand sanitizer. And let's just do this. Let's just grab this little booger like this. Even though this peg is pretty darn slippery. Let's try something innovative here. And it's super slippery. That's better. Mine was probably a lot colder than yours. Glad you saw. Yeah, like I said, every time I airbrush now, like it goes better than the previous time. I guess that's a good thing. I'm still nowhere near a map. Oh, I probably never will be. But all I wanted is to have at least as good results as I was having with the canned spray paint, which I was using for priming and and for sealing. That's it. So I'm not asking for a lot. Anything else is like a bonus. What do you think about people that have a YouTube channel that don't allow people to comment on their videos? There's one guy I'm subscribed to. Didn't used to do this, but he changed his commenting rules. You can't comment on his videos. And I don't put comments that are like negative reinforcement. I mean, I could just keep that to myself, but maybe that isn't the case. Some people go on there and create issues for them, and I mean, if you guys comment on stuff, I post your comment. I just have them blocked so that somebody doesn't come in here and start a jihad or whatever, and then I have to go and undo everything. But posts that are usually related to comments that are related to the post or the video that's on there aren't the issue. Just seems like I got no way of commenting on his video. Like, hey, food for thought or good job or anything. I have a feeling he's probably gotten into pissing matches with some people and just tired of it. But especially when they espouse on subjects seeming to create a dialogue and then often outright asking questions and inviting connections. Yeah, this guy wasn't that way. He's actually one of the first YouTubers that I used to watch, and I actually like listening to him a lot because he has an extremely calming voice. And he's from Britain, and he's very easy to understand. But he also speaks pretty slow. So. He does have some pretty opinionated opinions about different things, which are not things that are really important to, they're things that happened thousands of years ago. So it's like, okay, strange hill to want to die on, but it's your carcass. He seems like a nice guy in his video. Maybe he's not a real person. I just assume that people behave the same way on their videos as they do in real life. Maybe that's my mistake. It's too much effort to try to pretend to be somebody you're not. I'm not saying that's the case with this gentleman. I wanted to comment on his video, and I have commented on some of his videos, and but it seems like in the last year or so. Yeah, it's Ralph. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't put comments. I love listening to him. When I was before I was doing my videos, I'd listen to him on speaker, and my wife's like, "Why are you listening to that guy?" He's like, because he sounds older. I said, because his voice is really calming. He has a really calming voice. You know, I like that. And that's what I like. And the thing about his videos is, he was one of the people that I watched. I'm like, man, I could do this, because he literally puts the video camera up, and for the most part, he doesn't move anything. So the nice thing about that is, I can work on my stuff, and there's nothing really cool that he's showing me constantly that's changing that I need to interrupt my gaze to look at, so I can stay on task. You know. Think I know what you mean. Very, very nice chat, but I ain't making a video response to tell them where a fig came from or ask for more info on a minor subject. Okay, hold on a second. Let me process this. I think I know what you mean. Very, very nice chat, but yeah. Yeah, I like his videos. He went on he had this thing about, what was it? It was Normans and that they rode ponies, like for on, and Mongols. He has this thing about ponies, and I'm like, that's fine if you want Normans on ponies. Nobody fucking makes them. And I do like his videos though. He has a really as someone who's not a natural English speaker, also known as an American, he's very easy to understand. But it's because he speaks slowly. But man, he's into everything, isn't he? All kinds of stuff, which I guess appeals to a lot of people, but that doesn't work for me. I wouldn't get anything done. I'd feel, I personally would feel unfulfilled. But he paints a lot of different things and does a pretty good job of painting them too. We'll respond to him is to make a video reply and tag him and hope he sees it. Yeah. Yeah, so he changed that on all his videos? Well, a couple of years ago he didn't have that. That wasn't the case. I've certainly commented on plenty of his videos. And my interactions with him have been, positive, but, I'm not trying to, convert him to my way of thinking or anything. I don't really care. Do your thing, and that works for you. Well, it was mainly a video to. It was basically a response to comment on his video. Like, I think positive reinforcement is important. If you do something and you put it out there for people to see, it's nice to say, hey, this inspired me to do this, or inspired me. And it's like, man, I'm not doing this and wasting my time posting it. Like, at least there's somebody, that hasn't interested in some of this that's watching it. I mean, it's as somebody that produces things, it's nice. You don't have to kiss my ass or anything, and you don't have to pretend to like something that you don't. But it's just nice to know that it's doing somebody some good. You know. All right, it's time to start my Coke habit. I will be right back in a moment. He's kind of on the opposite energy level as the terrain tutor, who's a delight to watch when he's on a tear. Man, that guy's got a lot of energy. Now, the age-old problem. What color is the damn inside of these seats for North Africa? I don't remember what I did on those. I've done one vehicle. What is it, the German half-track? Something like that. And I had to pick a color, and I was happy with what I picked, but... Oh, and it was the Bren carrier. Oh, this thing. Yeah, I like what I did there. Almost like a canvas. Except I don't remember what colors I used. Well, it doesn't have to be exact. The Germans didn't win the war, so nobody's going to come back by and inspect it and fine me for it. Take me away. Last time I checked, the Germans didn't win the war. Yeah, good thing. Okay. I believe I started with. God, there's so many colors I could do to use that to get to that point. I think I used khaki gray, to be honest. I believe it was called Kanaki gray. Kanaki gray. No, that's just Kanaki. Actually, that one's spelled correctly, but the other one that is khaki gray literally says Kanaki. Is that this over here? This is a color they could use to Middlestone. So British vehicles were called the polyester color. Used to be called used to be called Middlestone, that you'd put the British vehicles in for the desert. This Middlestone has a lot more green in it than that. Unfortunately, all those colors died. Yellow, green. Nope. Let's see. Kanaki gray. Where art thou? Kanaki gray. Oh, it's going to be backwards, isn't it? No, this is right side up. Kanaki. Silly Spaniards. Yeah, this it smells funny. Smells funny peculiar. So Vallejo workers 1, corporate Vallejo 0, huh? Well, that's good. I don't think people should be involved in something that don't have an inherent interest in what they're promoting. I know I didn't word that properly at all. I don't think you should collect baseball cards if you don't give a shit about baseball. I don't think you should run a paint company if you don't give a shit about the paint company. If it's all about profits, go do something else. The people who give a shit about the industry do the industry. And if you're interested in just making money, go play with Bitcoin or something. I don't know. This seems a bit disingenuous to me. That's all. I have no good idea how much of this paint there is in there. It's So I'm not saying that's the case with a paint, with a corporate or that paint, but that may be the case. You know, somebody else comes and buys it. Oh, this is going to be a money making thing. We'll just squeeze everything we can out of it. You mean and not give a shit about the paint or the quality or anything? That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, this is not working. Okay, well we will make it work because I needed to do this last time I used this thing. Well, maybe we won't make it work tonight, but yeah, we have this. This thing needs an enema. We got this brown blockage here. And the funny thing is this paint is just fine. It's just lodged. I feel like that guy is cleaning out the backside of an elephant on a much smaller scale. Smells a lot better too. Doesn't have a smell at all. Now, let's move this here. Might be this, and there could be something lodged in here that's part of the problem. And I could just replace the top. So what I should do is that before I throw any of these away is just clean out with hand sanitizer, clean out the top and reuse the tops. But You got to find time to do stuff like that, and it's like, you know, it's like a hobby within a hobby kind of thing. Hopefully, that'll help the next time I do that. And I'm pretty sure there's a mixing ball in there, but nothing short of putting some Vallejo thinner in there, with which I don't think I have. I may have some, but it's airbrush thinner. I don't know if it's the same thing. Anyhow, I could hear it in there. All right. Until next time, my friend. Yeah, this is the color that we'll use for the seats. Or at least that's the base color that we'll start mixing colors to use on the seats. Yeah, I was surprised that he actually had some gameplays of the rules of the naval rule system that I use. And it's very, or I would use. We used to use Sea Creek 4, and I have Sea Creek 5, but I've played it at shows. I haven't played it on my own, but it's a pretty crunchy rule set. So I was surprised that he was interested in doing that. He did a series of battles in oh, you're not liking the stick to this, are you? Well, it'll work good enough. Um, we're running battle off of Santiago in Cuba, which is not worth gaming. It's extremely one-sided. They did like a 5-part thing. I thought it was pretty interesting. Several years ago, might have been 5 or 6 years ago when he did it. Might even been longer than that. I think that's how I found his channel. I think that's how I found Ralph's channel. Oh, Marcus, I forgot to tell you. I was watching one of Tick's videos and it came across. He actually announces what his name is in it. And I'm like, I wonder why he stopped doing that. And I can't remember what it is. It's not peculiar enough for me to remember. But it's in his Operation Compass video. At the beginning of it, I'm like, man, why don't you just keep using your real name, you know? I think I mentioned that because I was talking about it the other day. This will cover just fine. This is going to have a lot of layers on it. And then it'll never be touched. Man, I'm having a really interesting conversation with someone that's gonna. I hope it bears fruit. Regarding this kind of stuff right here, and if it does, we're gonna make some awesome stuff. We're gonna make some awesome stuff. What's his name? Now I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night. I figured maybe he's on Facebook or something like. Not because I have any ugly words to say to him. I don't. I don't really engage. I don't really have any interest in engaging people I disagree with. Like, go away. The other thing that really surprised me, okay, like I've read about Lewis Barton. That's what his name is. Um, when I watch, and this is why I really understand everything I understand military wise. It's all with maps. I am a extremely map understanding person. And one thing that I was reading this book, the Desert Armor book, which is superb, but because I was reading with it not in a map, not with a map, I didn't realize that the dispositions of the Italian forces in Operation Compass, according to Tick, are as such. And what I'm getting at is all the tanks were in one group in the center of the freaking line. Like I didn't grasp that. I didn't grasp that. So like it's almost like, okay, let me watch Tick's video or something like that first. Then I'll read, where the things are. Because I didn't realize that, all the Italian tanks are basically in one place. And once they're knocked out, like there's no more Italian tanks over there, and that are in. So because just reading the play by play, even though it's really detailed, unless you're reading it with a map in hand, you're not realizing, oh, well, this is over here, but right next to it is this, and this almost could have happened, and that. Yeah, so I was watching that video the other day, and I'm like, holy crap, that's his name. And then, oh, holy crap, all the Italian tanks were in one place. So that's why I like Kings and Generals and stuff. Although I've found errors in Kings and Generals videos, but um, they're good to kind of give you the idea of where, kind of how things are progressed from one stage to another. And I'm sure I make errors in things I say as well, but We all have our things that we find more important than others. We can't be interested in every single aspect of every single little thing. So the only problem with Operation Compass is in gaming it is the Italians have no way to deal with a Matilda other than just like keep backing up and hope it breaks down. There's nothing you can do with a Matilda. Nothing. I mean, a Sherman would have a better chance dealing with a King Tiger than the Italians have with a Matilda. They just can't deal with it. There's nothing you can do to it. Nothing. Hope it breaks down. And I'm talking about it, 200 yards. So speaking of 200 yards, since my skirmish game is really pretty much point blank range, I'm actually surprised how many actions actually involve things at that close range. I'm reading that Tunisia book, and there's this one scene where these panzers come through an olive grove, and they're like shooting at like Stuarts and stuff at like 50 yards. Like I think one was talking about there was one of the tanks that could almost touch the other one. Like that's where it got stopped. I'm like, okay, well, that's the kind of stuff we want to simulate. Like you almost got overrun. I've done enough of the long range actions where you got some Nashorn or something like that shooting it, miles away. Miles, over a mile away. I should have painted this gray so there'd be paint on it because right now I'm like it's not covering over the primer really well, but it's also waterish down. Not a big deal. It's happened before, and it happens because even more because it's a lighter color over a darker one. But hey, that's my form of watercolor. I may actually experiment with a different primer next when I run out of this stuff. I don't think this primer is very protective. I just think it works really well. It works really well when you're brush painting it, and I can use it for both. So if I miss a spot, and I like it. I mean, it's weird. It's odd, and it's how it behaves compared to regular paint, but it's weird the way it behaves through an airbrush. It behaves great hand painted, but I may experiment with a bad. I've heard good things about the Badger one. Although I used a Badger airbrush many years ago and I was not a fan. But we're not talking about using an airbrush. Now, before I get all the way up to this color, we're going to start adding in highlighting. Because I don't want it to look like the color, the seats to be the color of like an Africa Corps uniform. That's not the intention. All right, let's add ever so slightly. There we go. There we go. Some of these craft color paints work really well. Really, really well. Some of the pigments just behave like you want them to. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start scooping the colors out. Instead of like, you squeeze it and you like, nothing comes out, nothing comes out, nothing comes out. Oh, too much. Now you wasted that. Like, nah, we'll just scoop it out and go from there. Sometimes I feel like they take a little bit longer to dry, but allows me to do some wet on wet, I guess, which is not really the way I paint, but that'll work. I tell you what, I'm getting real spoiled on this weather because I'm not used to my feet being cold all the time, and I welcome it. I like my feet being cold. I don't like my feet being hot. And it's because it's so darn moist. Yeah, this is gonna look good. This is gonna look good. Well, my stomach had something to say about that. So, anyways, I reached out to this guy who's technically an expert on paint colors and stuff like that, and I've been trading emails with him for the last 3 or 4 days. Only about one email a day, unfortunately. Looks like he's got a real life, unlike me. And I'm just trying to get some of his stuff over here to the States, and it's just like cost prohibitive to have it shipped over. But he sent me stuff over here in the meanwhile, and he's got a lot of information on it that But the thing is, I'm kind of like I'm like traveling this little line. It's this line between what we know and what we don't know. And I don't really want to paint a certain vehicle. I don't want to paint a certain vehicle that's this vehicle. Because even if I paint it exactly like a certain vehicle, they'll show me a picture. Well, that doesn't have the chipping in that one place. I'm not interested in that. It is a war game model. That doesn't mean I want to paint it like shit. That's not the point. So, like this is an example, okay? This is specifically a paint scheme that was used by this unit in Tunisia. And there's one tank called the Buccaneer. I don't want to paint Buccaneer, okay? Because someone would be like, my grandfather was a Buccaneer and it had rust in this one spot and the one thing fell off. The model it's a compromise of realism also, especially with it being a war games type model. There's things that are missing. I'm not going to go buy a $20 or $30 photo etch thing to update this. It's plenty good and it's better than most people's models. So, when I'm done with this, it's going to look better than most people's 1/35th scale models. At least to me, anyways. So I don't necessarily want to model so and so's exact vehicle for this reference. That's for 1/35th scale people. I'm interested in okay, well, we have pictures of one of these 8 tanks that were in Tunisia. What do the other 7 look like? Well, we don't have that information. Well, fuck it. Then that's the ones I'm going to do, right? Like, you don't even know what they're named. Like, well, I will name one of the other ones. Using common sense. Plausibility, right? I'm not going to call it, something that's completely inappropriate. Because let's say I model Buccaneer and I make it exactly like Buccaneer is. I'm going to throw in an engagement that Buccaneer wasn't in. And I'm going to put crew members that are not named what the Buccaneer crew was. So at some point, I'm going to have to make that compromise. That compromise is going to happen at some point or the other, whether it's at the beginning of the process or at the end. Well, I don't want to paint it, however. I don't want to be like, okay, well, we use desert pink and we use olive drab, and we've got the exact colors supposedly from AK, and we're going to weather them or whatever. That's fine. I don't want to be like just like here's your colors, do whatever the hell you want with it. That's extreme. But I also don't want to model a specific exact vehicle. So, like for instance, I've got these 4 A13s. I may do, and I plan on doing for Operation Crusader. I may do A13s that were in Operation Compass, and then just use them in Crusader time period. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because I don't really want to paint them all exactly the same. That'd be like boring. That's like a missed opportunity. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just taking it one at a time. So I'm just kind of getting all my ducks in a row. So when I do make the decision, I'm happy with the choice that I made. But because I'm not doing a diorama, it is important for me to have that flexibility of, well, that vehicle wasn't exactly that one time period. Well, you're doing a battle where technically Buccaneer was getting an oil change during that, so it wouldn't have been available to do that. So I'd rather make up make-believe names as opposed to real vehicle names, if that makes any sense. Plausible names, especially when that information isn't out there. And there's just some things that just don't interest me. Like a tank number, I want to make sure that if I put a tank number, it's within the range of a Valentine that they made, right? I don't want to just pick, oh, this one's going to be called, you know, T something or another, T 10,463 if the Valentines are all T3s, I want some flexibility. I don't know exactly what number the Panzer fours are, but I know they better start with a 4 or an 8, the number. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I don't want to do a picture of a Panzer IV that's knocked out. I'm like, oh, that tank wasn't available. They didn't use that tank in that battle. It was somewhere else. I'm like, and then I did all that worthless work. My German armored cars. One of them's called what? Lily, and the other one's Liesel. Was there ever an armored car called Liesel? Maybe not, but that's a girlfriend name. It makes sense. So they just got to give them character, So I don't really want to paint, my Valentines. I don't want to make one Harry. I don't want to make one Horatio. Yeah, the information's available on those two. Obviously, you had H names, and I want to make that unit, so I'll make up one of the other names. Now, the paint schemes, I want to make sure that I get the counter pattern in the correct place or close enough. That's important to me. But to actually name it a certain vehicle, I'm not interested. Because then I'm limited, oh, well, they didn't use that one in January of 42. It was knocked out on November 28th. You know. And I think you're doing the same thing. You're painting that Grant, but you're not okay, that's the Grant that Monty used. It's got to look whatever Monty's. I'm pretty sure Monty's Grant had a certain name. I want the flexibility of okay, if I'm making that unit of Stewarts they're all named after American place names that start with a C. Okay, Columbus, California. There's no picture of a California, but it makes it fits the profile. You know. And it is a little bit of a what if, and I mean a little bit because it's not it's plausible. But a lot of this, modeling is your own interpretation. You'll see something you like, and maybe you like most of what they do, but there's something that this person does that it worked for them, but it doesn't work for you. So don't do that. I really wish these Beza machine guns were not painted, and the autocannons for the 222s weren't painted. Were painted as opposed to being unpainted, but that's not the case. So, I can still do it if I want to, but I just choose not to. Yeah, I'm going to go in the same direction. However, I got one vehicle coming from Chad that I might go with a historical name. It will either be Max or Moritz, the captured Dorchester. Is the name written on it? That's a great scenario. That's a great scenario. That's totally it. That's a role playing game scenario. Will Rommel survive the night, or will he be some Kiwis bitch? I think it was the Kiwis, or was it the Indians? Might have been the Indians. I don't know much about Rommel. Meaning, like, other than what you hear, like, on a strategic level or whatever, like how much of a Nazi was he? Yeah, compared to the Stuka pilot, was he more of a Nazi than the Stuka pilot guy? I have a feeling he wasn't. The Stuka pilot guy is. I don't even want to read his book again. Like, I don't want to. It's one thing to be, you know, ooh, this one looks kind of different. It's got a lot of more rust on it than the other one. I don't want to read his book. I don't want to read one-sided things like that anymore. Milk drinking Nazi. Anyways, it's different. You gotta go and do what they tell you to do in a war situation. It's another thing like believing the master race bullshit. Like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about that crap. This is taking longer than it should, but I don't care. Got to give these people a comfy seat so they can get, shot up from. Give me a little bit more. Well, it's better than having too much of this paint out there, I guess. Then it goes, then it'll dry up and I still have to get more. So the two-part Africa core palm trees actually worked okay. They actually they meshed well and they weren't too thick. It worked okay. Good morning, Chad. You have only 15 minutes, but decided to drop in to see how the life lives. Welcome. Well, I don't have any of your stuff here at the moment. Well, I do. This Panzer IV, and bad things have happened to him, which is my fault. But it's looking okay. But then it took a tumble and it landed right on the barrel, and I broke a smidge of the barrel off. So I think I can repair that, but that kind of put me off finishing it. What else we got? And I'm getting ready to leave in 2 days for Europe. So I've been in communique with a expert guy that he's gonna. I wanted to make sure I reached out to him before I started doing a bunch of A13s and didn't do them to the best of my ability. So that's probably what I'm going to hit when I get back, is knock some of those A13s out. So we're just kind of doing odds and ends here. And I put all these plastic Soldier Company armored cars together, and we were really missing your 3D prints because some of this stuff just doesn't. I like Plastic Soldier Company, but some of the stuff just doesn't go together well. It's minor things, but I was expecting better from them, I guess. But thanks for stopping by, man. No, everything's good. Now, let's see if we could kind of, let's not do that. 'Cause I think I'm going to scrape the inside of this getting in and out. Let's go ahead and do let's do a really light dusting of the pale sand on the tires. And then we'll kind of put it together. And then it could probably stay together. I said pale sand, not dark sand. Did you want me to do a turret reprint on that? I don't know. Let's worry about it the next time I make another order. I'm gonna want another one of these, so we'll see. I'm just kind of bummed out about it. I can't even tell. And the other thing is by the time that happens, this thing is freaking beautiful. Like the color is like exactly, and it's not done yet. We still have to do drippings and stuff like that, but the color is like exactly where I want it to be. Hell, I haven't even done black lining on it yet. Probably not. Probably not do a turret reprint on it. I can build up the end of this barrel with green stuff. It sucks because I was wearing long sleeves. And it was sitting here, and I went one morning before I started it was one day last week, and I clipped it like this, and the turret went and it fell down here, and I'm like, oh crap, the door is gonna fall off, and the door was fine, but it was like, oh shit, the little bit of the barrel's gone. It's, I don't know, 2 millimeters of it or something like that. So I think we'll be okay. I'm going to. I think it will be fine. And I don't know if I'm going to go with the decals with the one big number. I may just hand paint those as well, because hand painting the little number certainly works. That way we'll have the same brightness of them on there. But it's not complete yet. We'll know. I don't think so. I don't think so. There is one thing on the A13, and it's not a complaint. But I just wanted to make you aware of it. I took a picture of it. Something is printing up kind of weird in a certain place. Let's see if I have a picture of this. I know I did. The question is, did I save it? There's one part on the rear hull, yet on every one of the prints this happened. So this is the rear of the A13. There is this little long piece that, for whatever reason, that particular rivet wants to stay connected, and it's solid. It's not like it's just floating on top of it and there's space between it. It's solid all the way to the hull, And on every one of the four prints, it's exactly the same place. So I don't know what was causing that. It's certainly a rare, I think it was the only place that happened. And then there was some weirdage that was happening here on the back of the turret. See, there's almost like a difference there. It's just weird to see something like that, and then you have the little pull holes on the top of the turret that are just gorgeous. So it's just one of those. But these things are beautiful. These things are, and by the way, the thickness of these side skirts is amazing. It's like perfect. It's a perfect thickness because they're not flimsy at all. So yeah, these things are going to be beautiful. So I don't know whether that's part of the design that they did, or but these are definitely better than the ones from the Averne one, which isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but these are better. Yeah, but every one of these turrets has that little spot on the corner. I'm not sure whether that's the way it was designed, or okay, I'll check my supports on that. Looks like the support is touching the hole, the rivet support. You're printing five more right now. Oh. I got one guy, when I knew these were coming out, I knew one guy was really interested in getting some. So hopefully that's Gary. I knew Gary was working on that stuff. I don't know him personally. I just know him through Facebook, and he was working. Like, dude, you're working on the same stuff I am in the same scale. I'm like, you got to contact Chad, man. He'll set you up. And they're absolutely gorgeous. So, and some details on your stuff is just incredible. It's incredible that it would come out. In particular, the toe hitches. And toe hitches on some of these Panzers is just incredible. Just like, man, that looks better than something that's in 1-to-1 scale. So, okay. El Pale Sando. Good. Well, you'll probably hear from him again. He's on a tear. I think he's retired and got nothing better to do than do business with you. I wish that was the case. Like, I'm just gonna sit home and paint Chad stuff. If only. If only. But I'm gonna be dormant for a little while. We're here all day today. I got work day from hell tomorrow, and then we're off till the rest of January to supposedly my daughter's studying abroad, and we're going to take her over there to Europe, and hopefully the weather doesn't interfere. So we're just going to go really lightly on this. That's why I paint these tires in black. If I did dark gray and then did this, it would look like light gray. It would look wrong. It would look like those tires that your little sister had on her bike. They were knobby tires, but then, to make the bike girly, they used white rubber. Which I'm not really sure how they make white rubber, but it just looks odd like that. I was kind of surprised, though, that if you paid for the mold, that they're able to sell it to other people on their site. I mean, I'm like, that's like yours, man. That's like the Chad special. I don't know, maybe that's part of the conditions, but that's definitely a vehicle that nobody makes. So hopefully that worked out for you. There's a few other things that could fall in that category sometime in the future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I saw that it was on their site. I'm like, wait a second, you paid for that. Or maybe that was part of the deal. They'd charge you even more, but if they didn't have the rights to continue building it. But man, I wish I had the talent and the time to figure out how to do. I wish I had the time to do that, because that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, like they don't make this thing. Let's make this thing. Or we have the hull, but this turret's a little bit different. So let's do that a little bit different. All right, now we've got some coloration on this. Let's put this little guy together. And this is just a pre-made model by, I'm not even sure who it's by. I got it from somebody at an estate sale, so. This needs to go through here like this. I was impressed how quickly Alex WG turned around. STL rights always belong to the artist. Well, I guess if the rights didn't belong to them, they'd have to charge even more. I mean, I guess so. Hopefully, lots of people order those. It is definitely a necessary vehicle. And the only way to get it in 1/72nd was to buy the S model kit and then buy the conversion kit, which is out of production. All right. Now we still need some tinkering to do to this thing, so it doesn't look grand yet. And this is actually a vehicle I don't think is very attractive. So, and of course, you know who's going to ride in there. I suck at that. Another thing that I suck at, finding where the damn camera is. I already took a picture of this dude. The desert fox. Among other things. I mean, you know, they used them for lower ranking folks as well. All right, now we're done with that. Let's go back to Mr. Whatever the heck this is. The Humber. And we're going to take the same pale sand. Now, see, the funny thing is I didn't do any chipping on this thing, and there's some chipping on it just from me handling it. So, freebie. We need to go to a thinner brush than this. The whole thing is, this is a vehicle that's in one color. And you don't want it to look like it's just like spray painted and here you go. Oh snap! I gotta put a vehicle number on this, and I'm not looking forward to this because of where it's located. I may actually put it somewhere different. I may actually not put it in that same thing. It's going to be really hard to, unless I do it upside down, which I've had worse. I've had worse. Where is the other? Yeah, that's going to be really hard to reach there. In retrospect, I could probably do it. It's just going to take longer to do than it should. Actually, that's what I have to do next. That's what I have to do next. So let's go over here to our guide, and we're going to pick another number. It needs to fall in the range of the vehicles. And the pictures that I took on the desert background look terrible. It looks like UN white. So, and it doesn't even remotely look like white. Okay. Yeah, this is what I came across is these numbers are here's the number ranges that these Humbers should be in. So the information's out there. I don't necessarily want to model a certain vehicle. I just don't want to give it some arbitrary number that doesn't make any sense. So we did 61 to 11 last time. So let's do that's hard to reach. A 6 is going to be easier to do than a 5. Well, if it doesn't come out how I want it to, I can. So we did that one. Let's do F60. Let's do F59. 1. 79. Let's do that. You have no issues with them making some $4 signs. I can't go to those restaurants. They don't give me enough food. $4 sign restaurants. Oh man, and unfortunately, it is an even number. It is an even number of things. So I'm going to have to try to put the center where that 1 is, or close to that. So let's do this so I don't screw myself. Cardboard is your friend. What a cute ass little vehicle. Tear up some Nazi bums. Just encountered something I've never seen before. I used some of the gray basing goop, and it looks like it reacted with the pennies. Huh? Oh. I've never seen that before. Oh, I see what you mean. It got the patina. Wow. You use U.S. pennies? This is UK pennies as well. That's like the perfect stand. I remember my dad would complain, "You're wasting money using that." I'm like, really? There's no stand that costs less than a penny. Thanks, Jeffrey. Who is that? What scale is that? That's got to be smaller. Oh, they're 15s. Yeah, the Bergman guy makes all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we solved that. I just take people's word for it. Use this to make this model. And I would have made one of these into a Mark III, but their dimensions are off. I know some people that use yeah, the patina reacted with it. The UK ones that are recent. Okay, I know some people that use beer mats. They liberate from pubs. I collect them. I collect them. I don't do anything with them, but I collect them. Beer mats. Is it safe to say, because we're going to be going this a lot, is it safe to say that when you go to a pub, they basically serve beer, not liquor? Is that correct? That's like the main. Because I got to be careful, because I can't drink beer too late, or I'll have a massive headache the next day. And by drinking beer, I mean I'm talking about having one. Like if I have a beer like at 10 o'clock at night, I'm screwed the next day. Won't even have a buzz. I just feel horrible. Now, we got some new brushes from Hobby Lobby yesterday. But I wish they didn't even come with those things. We're going to have to modify this one already. Now we're good. All right, let's break this thing in. Yeah, I've never seen that happen with the patina, and I haven't seen the super glue frosting. I've seen it a few times, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Pretty much they will have liqueur available. You should grab in your travels. I will. Pretty much they will have liquor available too, though. We do have fancier places good for cocktails and ilk. They are 6 millimeter models. Oh my gosh. They're busy resculpting their range. I've been using Scotia micro models for 40 years. They started with resin vehicles before moving to metals. And now they're back to resin, huh? Scotia. Well, those look pretty great for 6 mil. Pretty freaking great. All right, let's grab some black. And we're going to have to use all our talent for this. I'm going to grab the not as precise brush. That should be plenty. Rinse that out. Now, we're going to do what we did yesterday, which is take a little bit of the dark sand and we're going to make a mixture. So I can kind of sketch where the numbers are going to be. It's still too. It's still too dark. All right, that's about right. Maybe even a little bit lighter. You'd barely be able to see it. Gotta run. Safe travels. See you when you return. You bet, man. Okay, here we go. Reaching it is the problem. Reaching it is the problem. And if I hadn't done such a darn good job of gluing this, you know what? Let's give it a go. It wants to take the whole front of the vehicle up. Okay, well we won't do that then. Oh, be nice if I picked it from the correct place, wouldn't it? Okay. A 1 should be easy enough to do. Sometimes when you do stuff like this, it's an opportunity to be good at something else. I got 179, and so far we're good. Let's not brag about it till we're done. What do we got left? A 9 and another 5, so we got another 9. Let's do a little circle. What the hell happened with that one? You just decided to go rogue? One bristle that just went down. Well, you only get one chance to screw me. That's pretty good. It's not great. Let's clean that up now. Cleaned up. A 5. dealing with stuff this small, it's almost like if you could just tap it. And then an F. And then I'll show you guys what we got here. Let's get the vertical in the right place. Well, I won't have to go work tomorrow because I just quit my day job. Now it's not filled in black, but that's why this is like a sketch. Another opportunity to clean it up. Look at that. Okay, man. Thanks, Marcus, for coming by. Piece of freaking cake. Now we know where to put the black on top of. I guess I could do white as well, but it just doesn't stand out as much. All right, where is black here? Craft paint. And this is the stuff I actually enjoy doing more than anything else. Now, freehanding a jerboa, I don't want to do that because it's just not going to do it justice. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to paint it back asswards. We're going to paint it upside down, or at least we're going to attempt to. I mean, if I can see it. There we go. Good Lord. Pick a different angle. It's not enough with that bloody tire. This Viejo Game Wash stuff smells quite nice. A hint of licorice to it. Oh, well, that gets me to stay away from it. Like black licorice smell, because It's like if someone dropped licorice into a really watered down paint thinner. Trade secret. Well, if there was a place that had it, I'd open it up and smell it. Most things, I think almost all the products that I use smell pleasant, except for the microset that smells like vinegar, white vinegar. It's not horrible, but now that licorice stuff that's not licorice. It's the anisette type stuff. I like the smell of that, and I guess that's licorice like. Drop licorice in paint thinner. Yeah, some things just appeal to you and some things don't. There's a there's a cleaning product that I use for firearms that smells like whiteout, and it smells pleasant, almost like wheat. It has a really pleasant. It's not like I want to eat it, but it's just like it's a pleasant smell. You did a quick gray paint job on the two spare vehicles. I had to highlight how the black and the sepia washes work, so I know what I'm working with going forward. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to paint like 20 of them and then like, man, this isn't how I thought it was going to work out. Man, I almost made it too thin. The numbers. It's a great paintbrush. And I'm gonna clean up some of the darker color underneath here, but I'm pretty darn happy with that. You use cleaning products too for cleaning. That's what they're for. Yeah. Well, you never know, man. Kids these days use like, cleaning products for, drinking. Like, pretty happy with that. And it's a legitimate number in the range of these vehicles. GB, welcome Canada. I think I got that right. Well, we'll find out if Britain has better food than Canada in a couple days. I doubt it. I doubt it. You guys really, well, I don't know how the food in the rest of Canada is, but where we went, it was fantabulous. And I'm a bit of a food expert. I got the merit badge to prove it. And when we went to Canada, we've never eaten better in our life, ever. I was sincerely impressed. Not the 51st state. Go listen to that whole speech thing. They take things out of proportion completely. But, I think, I went to Canada. It didn't feel like different than the United States, you know? So, a foodie, yeah, but there's some things I don't want to eat. You know, there's some things that nobody should be eating. You know, you go to some place, oh, it's a delicacy here. What is it? It's ants. I'm not eating ants. I'm not eating bugs. Sorry. I'm not eating worms and shit like that. There's some stuff, you know. And don't argue with me. If you like them, that's, hey, it's one person less eating them. You know, have at it. Enjoy that anthill, you know. I'm not eating that shit. What are we missing on this little guy? I feel like we got that. We'll have to dust over that a little bit. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. It's very, very little cleanup. Very, very little. See if we can. Clean this up just a little bit. Fuck ketchup. You can have all the ketchup you want. Man, communists smell better than ketchup. The fully dressed ones are good though. No, you know one of the best things there? Never heard of anyone eating ants here. You sure we can't? No, it wasn't in Canada. I'm just saying in general. We went to Mexico. What was the thing? Oh, those freaking the Canadian Oreos that aren't Oreos at all. They're like the little maple. I never know the maple, but they have the maple stuff in the. Oh man, that's. And I'm not necessarily somebody that's like super on sweets. Those things were amazing. Like Canadian Oreos. All dressed, fully dressed, whatever. Fully dressed communists. Those maple cookies, holy shit, those things are good. I mean, they're so good though. You have one, and then shit. Now I have to have it. Now I have to have another one, and you have another one. You're like, crap. Now I have to have two more, and then you have the two more. Like, shit. I hope there's four left. You know, it's like that's why I don't have sugar because it literally triggers something like that. Like, you know, and the next thing you know, you have a headache. Is there a nudist communist party I hadn't heard of? I hope not. I hate the smell of ketchup. And it's funny because it's the only tomato product I don't like. Everything else is great, including cocktail sauce. Cocktail sauce is incredible. I don't know what it is. It must be the sugar that's in it, and then the. You have gas stations well hidden. And I can only speak for the part of Canada that I went to. But it was absolutely beautiful. Cell phone worked great everywhere. Ketchup you had, it was probably expired. I've had the same experience. It has to be Heinz. No, I hate them all. Yeah, it's probably the vinegar in it. Yeah. Yeah. I like if somebody opens it, if I'm sitting at the table and somebody pours it out, I'm like, I can't stand the smell of it. It's disgusting. So, and it's, it must be something in there. It must be it must be the white vinegar that just like with something else. Okay. I do want to do some Canadian vehicles though, so they can apologize for blowing shit up. Sorry about that. I guess I'll do some Canadians when I do SS. That way they can have that love fest they have amongst each other. Just have to use regular British infantry form, though. Sorry, you guys did. Sorry about that. I'm already apologizing. You just say Canada, and the apologies just come out. Sorry about that. Oh man, we loved it. We had a great time. Guys, don't use vinegars with your fries. No, I'm not a fan of it. My wife has that same relationship with mustard. Now, I don't put yellow mustard on stuff, because it's so overpowering. But like, like German mustard stuff. Oh yeah, that shit's good. I mean, not on everything. I mean, on the things the things it belongs on, which she would say belongs in the trash. But what am I getting the white for? We needed to get a little bit more. Oop, that's too wet. That's not the black you're looking for. Well, I think that's the only thing I didn't like about Canada is the ketchup chips. That's pretty freaking good. You guys passed. I actually like the way that one turned out better than this one. There we go. Cute little bastards. Ram Kangaroo would fit. Yeah. Yeah, those are interesting vehicles. A king, me, making me hungry. Gotta go make breakfast later. Okay. You're welcome. My work here is done. It's not done because I need to do a fine dusting of the pale sand. You know, I'm enjoying doing the Allied vehicles more than the German vehicles. Why, you may ask? Well, because everybody does the German vehicles. They do German vehicles and more German vehicles, and I just feel like, everybody, it should, I just, feel like there should be some balance. I think it's a challenge when we take something like a Sherman. They're all green. Like, okay, well, let's make them look interesting. Like, there's a challenge of making them look interesting. There's no challenge in making some vehicles look interesting because they are to everybody. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there we go. Yeah, that's good enough. We don't want to show off on that. Have to fix that thing. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but I think sketching it, anything I'm writing with actual letters, I want to sketch it, and I already screwed up because I needed to put the little squadron marking on it. I didn't screw up. I just didn't follow the most efficient path of it. So let's put this thing aside. Let's get the red out and put A squadron markings. I don't like putting the number inside the squadron marking. Something about it just, you see like equal numbers of vehicles without them. So it was obviously was not. Nope, we used the one that was called Bermillon. Nope. It's the last one I grabbed, isn't it? Making me hungry, damn it. All right. Let's do this again. Yeah, let's just go ahead and just, before I have a more costly thing to replace, time costly wise. Yeah, I'm ready for second breakfast. I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be one. Nope. Habits are hard to change. Now, we use the super brush for this. We need a special place of honor for you. You're going to go right here. Okay? We'll use the other super brushy, for this one. Yeah, I got a little bit of black there. We got to deal with that. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Nothing? Okay. No point in buying decals for these. I mean, I hand painted those little German numbers and it looked just fine. I'm just not going to hand paint German license plate numbers. That's just stupid. I don't have time for that nonsense. And then we're going to take sand. We did this yesterday because I was lazy and it paid off. It pays off being lazy. It did yesterday. I can't play a game where you spend this amount of effort painting the vehicles. Then what comes to playing the game? It's like so vague and like odd or even he dies kind of thing. Like you need more flavor for that. All right. How long have we been on here? 3 hours? Excellent. Well, now there's two. 11th Hussars. Damn, these things are cute. Okay, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one. I don't know if I'll be back on later today. I probably will, but